Yo, 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 we live on location. Me and the blackest one is in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's hot as hell out here, y'all. We out here for the NBA Summer League 2024. We live inside 8 Lounge in Resorts World, Las Vegas. We got a very special guest, somebody who is very near and dear to my heart, my coach. She's the NBA Hall of Famer. She's an Olympian. She break down barriers, y'all. She do the damn thing. One of the top PGs out of New York City ever. We got Nancy Lieberman, the beloved.
Sir.
Thank you for joining us, Coach.
Thank you so much for having me.
First off, thank you, to have basketball royalty, on the show. We definitely appreciate it. Been a long time coming. We very, very excited to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thanks. I've been waiting to do this for a long time.
Yeah. When you first got to the Olympics, who was the first person to bust your ass?
If that even happened.
Oh, yeah. Remember, I was 17.
Yeah, that's enough.
That is
Okay.
true. That's crazy.
So I get in the game. We're playing Russia. They were kicking our ass, okay? They hadn't lost since 1958. And Yuliana Semenova, Hall of Famer, 7'2", 280 pounds.
Damn.
Size 18 shoe. So I come down and I make a pass. It gets intercepted. It's a 2-on-1. And I kind of jabbed at the girl with the ball. And she gave it to Yuliana. And she, bam. I picked up a charge. I was like a pancake. And I was like, get off of me.
Yeah.
And I don't think she understood New York. I might have said something else. But I was like, I was like 135.
Yeah.
And this
280.
lady is like on top of me. I mean, that was the hardest hit I think I've ever taken, and I've taken like screens from like Mark Eaton or Karl Malone in games. I was like, wow, it lit up my world when she hit me.
Brooklyn, stand up. You grew up in Brooklyn. You was
did.
born in Brooklyn.
Born in Brooklyn, grew up in Far Rockaway.
Grew up in Queens. So when you coming up, you played softball, you played basketball, and you played football.
I did.
Why was basketball the one that you kind of pursued more? My mom played softball when I was younger.
Well, first of all, football was my first sport. And so it's kind of embarrassing, but we were poor. So we went to a, thrift shop. There was a New York Jets football helmet. It was a lamp. And I said, Ma, can I buy? It was like 50 cents. So we bought the lamp and I unscrewed the base and I put towels inside of it and took tape. And so now I could try out for the boys football team because they said you had to have a helmet.
Yeah.
All right. I was running back a kick and I could play. And this guy hit me in the stomach. I went back, knocked the wind out of me. I was about 7, 8 years old. The helmet split in half, but the tape stayed here. So the helmet's hanging and the towels come falling out. I was pissed. And finally I got up and I walked home and my mother goes, what did you do with the lamp? I go, it's not a lamp. It's a helmet. And it broke because it's fake.
It was fake.
And I said, unless I get real equipment, I can't play football. So then I started playing baseball.
Baseball, softball.
And then I morphed into basketball when I was 10 years old. Fell in love with Walt, Frazier, Willis Reed, Julius. Those were the guys, right? Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
And I just loved the game. And I was treated like in the park, the guys treated me at PS 104. They treated me with respect. Now they play hard.
Yeah.
They kicked the crap out of me. I was always getting in fist fights, by the way. It wasn't a day I wasn't getting in a fist fight.
Come on, Coach, not Coach.
Yes. Yeah.
fighting?
First team all fist fight, yeah.
Me, Corey, Catino, we can't believe that the way you loved on us. I can't see, well, actually, maybe we can. If I ask Big Baby the way you yelled at him sometimes, he might concur. So.
Yeah, but you guys were great with Big Baby. Those relationships matter. And, you, Corey Birdman, Catino were amazing.
So you singing Walt Frazier That's who you seen to make you start playing? You start seeing the Knicks play and was like, man, I'm going to try basketball and see how it goes?
My whole career, any picture you see me playing, I wear number 10. And that's because of Walt Frazier.
That's Walt Frazier.
And I played post in high school at like 5'8", and I could use my left hand because of Willis, and I could drop, step through back in the 70s and 80s. And then as I started getting bigger, like, I made the Olympic team in high school, so I was only 17 years old.
Yeah.
I'm still the youngest Olympic basketball player, guy or girl, for the United States.
That's
And
crazy.
I was so young and dumb because it was like Ann Meyers and Lucy Harris and Pat Summitt and all those greats. Coach said one day, okay, we're going to get into 1-3-1. And I'm like, I don't think they do that at Rucker Park.
Right.
I didn't know what a flex or a 1-3-1, but when I was younger, because I was toughened up by guys like yourself, I go to Rucker Park and I could dunk a tennis ball, and the guys would go fire because of my flaming red hair. They go fire, hang on the rim, and I go okay. It was like I was a carnival monkey at Rucker, but these guys were so protective of me, and rode the train home with me, and guys, they would come to my house in Rockaway, and my mother was like, you weren't at the park across the street. I said, I know. I stole money from your wallet, and I took the train, and I went to Rucker Park. I didn't know that I was teaching my mom not to be racist, not to profile.
Yeah.
Because she could just see this bond.
Yeah.
So
That's
to chase.
one thing basketball do, man. Basketball take the color out of it.
Right.
Take the race out of it, and you bond with people from far overseas all the way to people that didn't grow up the way that you grew up. So that's one thing I love about basketball.
It's a beautiful thing, and people kind of look at me today and they see you shined up, and how people treat me is unbelievable. I was a poor kid from New York. I had no father, I had no food, I had no heat, I had no electricity. That sounds like a kid from the hood.
Yeah.
I was that white
You were from the hood.
Jewish kid from the hood. You're not supposed to do that. The Nancy Camp moments.
Yeah.
You can't play basketball. They were attacking the one thing that I had that was meaningful. Like when you never hear you're loved, or you never hear you're doing well, you're told what you're not.
Yeah.
And I got so tired of that.
And back in that day and time, it really was intense. It's not like, today, but back in that day, it really was intense because a lot of stuff wasn't allowed.
Well, think about it. I'm a girl from the 60s and 70s. There was no Title IX. There was no gender equity. There was no WNBA. And then by the time I got a scholarship to college after the Olympics, we won back-to-back national championships at Old Dominion. I'm Player of the Year in college basketball. But I was so full of crap. I was so broken from my childhood. And I hid behind, being Nancy Lieberman. And guys, I have to tell you, December of 79, right before my senior year, I'm asked to go to the New York Stock Exchange, to go home and to do an appearance for the Olympic Committee, a fundraiser. So my best friend Barbara and my mom were going up the escalator, and I look at the man and I go, yo, like, who's the other athlete? Acting like I was. And he goes, it's you and Muhammad Ali. And I'm like, he's here? Muhammad Ali is here? And the door opened, and it was like Oprah's,
You shining, you had that glow.
I'm hyperventilating, I cannot breathe. And he goes, your mom says you're good. And I'm like, Mr. Muhammad, I'm not, I'm the greatest of all times. And I beat people up too, Mr. Muhammad. And he goes, I get paid to hit people. You have to stop beating people up. I said, but they hurt my feelings. And he knew right then and there that I was broken. He never let me go. 37 years later, everything that happened to me in my life, he was on the front calling me. The last 15 years, Lonnie Ali would call me and say, baby, can you come see him? He wants to see you. I'd fly to Phoenix. I'd sit in the house. I'd hold his hand. I'd feed him. I would just tell him how much he meant to me. Muhammad Ali that night in New York, went back to the Plaza Hotel. He taught me about racism. He taught me about philanthropy. He taught me about being an everyday champion. He taught me how to treat people. He taught me that I should respect everybody and fear nobody. He just poured so much into me over time. I am him. The person I am, and I'm so far from perfect. I want to make him proud every day, even today, as a 66-year-old woman.
Yeah.
The most famous Muslim in the world was teaching me about God. He was teaching me about what my friends of color were going through. That he was teaching me to be a racial and social activist. I was raised by the Black community. Black community didn't tolerate me, they celebrated me. Quentin Richardson, you celebrated me. You didn't, oh yeah, I gotta take information from no.
I want to say that this is absolutely who Nancy is. For anybody that possibly doesn't know her or don't know, like, this is exactly who I know her to be, and I wouldn't expect anything different.
Thank you for saying that.
How old were you when you got technical in basketball, where you really start using your IQ and thinking out the game and learning the game and on a whole nother level than just playing outside with the friends and everybody else? Because, you know, you got the people who you play outside with, and then you got the organized ball where it gets technical. So how old were you when it started getting technical for you?
In 1974, little article in the newspaper, U.S. women's team playing Russia, 3-game exhibition series. Never happened before. So a bunch of us loaded in a car. It was almost like America's Got Talent. They had 4 regions. I went to Queens College, right? Like I've been told, you know, something's wrong with your daughter. Why is she always playing ball?
Yeah.
I went in the gym. I'm going to answer your question. There were 250 women. And I was like, oh my God, there's nothing wrong with me. I felt redemption because of how people had talked to me. So I was 15 years old. I go to the tryout. At the end of the day, they picked 20 players. We scrimmaged at the end. They took 10 from each region, sent us to Albuquerque, New Mexico. 40 players. At the end of 3 days, they picked 10. We went into the training camp with all the greatest women's players of that time, the Lucys, the Pat Summits, Ann Meyers, Trish Roberts, people like that. I was around stuff. They don't run those offenses at Rucker Park.
Right.
Right? I mean, you just play. You know, I'm playing outdoors with, you know, a metal net.
Chain, yeah.
And with chains and, you know, the backboard that has the holes in it. You know, so it was so different. I just played. And they're asking to run, you know, 2 in, 3 out, you know, pass, cut, UCLA. I had no clue.
That was the first time you heard the lingo?
The lingo. I had never heard a play ever. So I just stayed behind a player that I knew was older, and whatever she did, like in the drill,
I did.
that's what I did. I just acted like I knew what I was doing. I didn't know anything. So think about it. 75, I'm 16 years old. I made the Pan Am team. We played in the World Championships, and we played in the Pan Ams. We won the gold medal. At 17, I'm on the Olympic team, so I'm not even in college yet. So now I'm learning from the best. I'm running all these sophisticated offenses, defenses, learning how to, you know, bump, switch, trap the box.
At that young of an age, was it you were so head down and just wanting to play, you didn't realize how crazy what you were achieving was, or you weren't overwhelmed at any point, or you were just so focused on trying to like make it and trying to make the team, and then I'm making it, now I'm trying to win? Did you ever just take a look around like, I'm a little teenager and I shouldn't really be here and this is crazy? Did that ever, or did they even write about that or talk about that at any point? I
just played. I knew if there's this concentric circle of who I was at 14, 15, 16, 17, the dot, I'm a baller.
Right.
And that's the only thing I know how to do is to play. I didn't say run offenses or defenses. I know how to play. I know how to compete. I'm, you know, Kobe used to call me the Mama Mamba. I was mean as a snake. I got knocked down so many times, you know, in the street games, at Rucker, at all these places that I played in the city. And I wasn't afraid. and I was so athletic. Like, remember the backboards were a little bit lower back in the day? I would let Meyers or my teammate in practice go and get by me, and then I would chase her down and pin the ball.
Well, you doing LeBron before LeBron.
But the lower part of the backboard, and I'd be like, and staring. And my coach is like, "What are you doing? You can't let these people go by you." I'm like, I just wanted to see if I could get it. It's so stupid, but it was so much fun.
Part of the game.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I just played, and I was getting knowledge every practice, every rep. It set me up. Like by the time I get to Old Dominion, my freshman year, I've got more experience than the seniors. Mm-hmm. And that's why we went in the locker room, and we had 7 freshmen. When we pinky swore, I said, "I'm taking Debbie Richards' job. Whose job are you taking? I'm taking Wendy Larry's job. Whose job are you taking? I'm taking Yvette." So the freshmen, you won 6, 7 games last year. That's not going to work for us.
Yeah.
And so we go 125-15 in 4 years. We go 30-4, win the NIT. We go 37-1 championship. We go 35-1, and we are women's basketball.
Yeah.
Before Tennessee and UConn, and we were selling out wherever we went. We were like America's team.
How was it for you being, a kid that grew up in New York City? You watched, like you say, Clyde. You won number 10 forever. How was it the first time you got to come back with Old Dominion and play in MSG, like where obviously Clyde and Willis and everybody you admired and looked up to built their legend? How was it the first time you came back in college and played in that arena?
Well, the first time I played was 1979. We played China with the USA team.
Okay.
And so I went in the Garden, I went in the blue seats. That's where the people that don't have money go sit in the blue seats. And I sat there, and like I was overwhelmed before the game.
This is like before the game, you went up and just sat in the blue seats.
I just sat in the blue seats because I could never even afford the blue seats.
Right.
That was the only thing I asked for, by the way, when I went to Old Dominion. I said, I want number 10, and I want to play in Madison Square Garden. Those were non-negotiables for me. 3 of my 4 years, they scheduled us playing up in New York. And going into the Garden, my first time, we were playing Queens College. And it's so stupid, right? Like, one of the girls on Queens College, she goes, she's overrated, and she doesn't deserve all this attention, kind of like what's happening to Caitlin Clark. Mm-hmm. So we go in the Garden, and we're playing about 13,000, 14,000 people. I was so mad at this girl. I had like 33 points, 15 rebounds, 14 assists, 9 steals.
God
and I go in the press. We won by 50. We won 102 to 50. And Marianne Stanley, my coach, it's the first time I ever.
I'm pretty damn upset, Coach.
She took me out with 10 minutes to go.
Oh, you wanted the whole
I wanted to break Larry Bird's scoring record in the Garden, but she took me out of the game. And I'm never mad about coming out of the game because I want my teammates to play. And I was huffing and puffing because I wanted to. So we go to the press conference. And I said, well, I'm so happy we won and blah, blah, blah. And I hope you guys didn't think I was overrated. The girl came into the press conference and apologized. Oh. Which I thought was very cool that she would do.
Pretty admirable.
She's saying it in real life. That's what it was.
But, I never wanted to, I wasn't there to break records. I was there to hang banners.
Yeah.
Some people have different objectives.
Yeah.
So that was important to me, playing both times. Every time, I can't even be, John Condon. He was the voice of Madison Square Garden. I could close my eyes right now like I did when I was little, transistor radio. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the magic world of Madison Square Garden, the most famous arena in the world. Tonight, for your New York Knicks, starting at guard, number 10, Walt Frazier. I would always go, starting for the New York Knicks, A10, Nancy Lieberman, with Walt.
Right.
And how many women get to say or think or do that? It's been beyond my wildest dreams to be friends with you, to be friends with LeBron or Kobe, or in a perfect world that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Tell me this: you played in a time where there wasn't a WNBA yet, and then you played in all the leagues you just named with different men's leagues and getting to play in summer leagues. when you were younger, what were you aspiring to play? Because like you couldn't have known that those opportunities would come for you to play with men and things like that. What was it? It was just your love for the game. Like, I'm just gonna play. I don't know what's next, and I'll just deal with that as it comes. Or how did that happen for you? And how did you feel once you were given those like once in a lifetime opportunities? Like now, 40 years later, you could look at it and say, I played in men's leagues and things like that no other women got the chance to do. Like, how was that when it was happening?
I didn't actually think I was that smart when I was growing up. I kept things simple. Like, I didn't overthink anything. Like, if we didn't have food, I didn't like overthink it. I would just go to my friend's house and act like we were playing, and her mom would go, we have tuna fish sandwiches, and I'd be like,
right.
I just kind of went with the flow of my situation. And I never thought about what I didn't have. I just thought I needed to be out here because I didn't know if I was going to kill you, and I didn't know if I was going to kill me. So, there's a lot of kids that go through that, right? You know, we could have joined gangs. We could have gotten in trouble. I have friends who are in prison, got killed. And, life is about choices. And I actually didn't want to grow up like my mother because, every week she would wait for the alimony check and she never got it. And I was like, I love my mom, but I never wanted to be like her because I never wanted to be dependent on you as a man. So I needed sports. So I would take whatever was in front of me, whether it was playing at Rucker, whether it was playing in men's leagues. It didn't matter to me. But another really pivotal moment for me, I'm playing against Charlie Chris. You remember Charlie? Okay. And those guys from, my era? And I'm playing in a men's pro league at Xavier High School on 13th Street in New York. So the morning show, Jane Pauley came down and she did a story that there's a girl playing in this league. It's normal for me, is what I do.
Right.
Dr. Buss and Jerry West see it on the news. And the next day I get a phone call from Jerry West. This is 81. And he says, Nancy, we'd like you to play Summer League for the Los Angeles Lakers. What? Talk about being ahead. Did you ever hear the story?
No.
So he goes, we have a new coach. His name is Pat Riley. He's coming out of the TV booth. And so I show up at Loyola Marymount College. They give me a Laker bag. I walk through the locker room. These guys are naked. And I'm just like, I know they're testing me, right? So I'm like, man, I got a brother. I go to the back of the locker room. And I'm like, inside, I want to beat somebody up, right? That's who I am. And I open the bag. I have a Laker jersey. I have shorts. I have the socks. And the trainer put a jockstrap in there, like trying to fuck with me.
Yeah.
So I turn around and I go, hey, Jack. And he goes, yeah. I go, this thing's too small. I need something bigger. This is the only place I get to play.
Yeah.
Don't do that to me. So Pat, legendary practice, he didn't want me there. He told Dr. Buss, I do not want her here. I told the guys it was serious. First practice, I'm standing there like he's explaining to us what he wanted. He goes, I need 5 guys on the court. I ran out. And, they're looking at each other like, what the? So I run his offense. I make mistakes. They coach me up. I get repetition. I get a little comfortable with what he wants to run on the offensive end. Then the next 5 come out, and I walk to the baseline, and I'm like, hey, if you guys don't know how to run that, I do, so I'll be happy to help you. And legendary 3-hour practice. I didn't know this until I was coaching in the NBA, and Pat Riley is talking at the NBA Coaches Symposium. He's the keynote. I'm sitting with Nick Nurse, and I'm filming it. I have the tape. And he goes, sometimes in life, people change your lives. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. And he goes, this happened to me in 1981 when Dr. Buss, he tells the story I just told you.
Wow.
And I'm like, he goes, Nancy, isn't that true? And I'm like, and Nick Nurse goes, you played for him? I'm like, stop talking. And, he's like, and Nancy played for me and I didn't want her because she didn't look like the person who should be my point guard, right? He was profiling me.
Right.
And he goes, she comes out on the court. She's telling players what to do. They beat the crap out of her. She didn't cry, and she tried to start 2 fistfights. And he goes, what are we going to do with her? And he goes, isn't that right, Nancy? I said, yes, I apologize for the 2 fistfights. I know it's 40 years later, but I apologize. And he goes, who is my starting point guard 4 days later? He goes, she could run my shit. It's so, how do you know? And he goes, when I was coaching and I felt overwhelmed, I was like, she was 5'10", she was 150. They were bigger, stronger, faster, more athletic. And she acted like she was the best player on the court. And he said it changed his life when he was coaching in huddles. He felt overwhelmed. And he said he would sometimes think of me. Is that amazing?
Yo, that is crazy. Like, this is like, me and him talk about this all the time. Like, no matter how well we know people, we've interviewed, some of our best friends, guys we come up with, whatever. And it never ceases to amaze me how we always find out something that we didn't know. I can remember when they told me, you was gonna be our coach. I'm like, okay, I remember her. Let me look her up and see this. I've never heard that. I played for you, didn't know it then, and I've never heard it anywhere else. So that was just crazy for me.
The summer after you left college, you played in the New York Pro Summer League. You played with the likes of Tiny Archibald, World Be Free. Just tell us about that experience in that era of basketball.
Especially in New York, back in the 80s, my experience was wherever you played, if you were playing against NBA guys, pro guys, the Michael Ray Richardsons, the Jeff Houstons, World Be Free, any of those guys, they just wanted to play. It was so simple. They had no issue with me playing. And you know what, and you guys know this from growing up, you get on the court, and what's the first thing you do? First 5 guys make their foul shot, then the next 5. And if you don't make your foul shot, you sit, you have to wait for the next game to roll around. First game to 15, everything after that's to 11. I would work on my foul shot every day because I wasn't dunking, I wasn't as big or strong, but I was getting in every first game. So I knew, the strategy even then, I knew if I got in the first game, you're playing a 15. If you win, you stay on the court, you play to 11, and then you go off, and then the next team comes on.
Yeah.
So it was always my goal to be on that first, to the best of my ability. But everybody was so great to me, and they wanted me to be successful, even when I wasn't like a great player and I was kind of working my way up. People, hey, Nancy, you got an arm bar, or, the guy is stealing the ball. You got to get your body between, the defender and the ball, or you got to box this guy out. They were fantastic.
How was it when you signed with Dallas Diamonds, when you signed that $250,000 contract?
Got some of that good cash, Coach.
How was that, to get that contract at that time?
Back then.
Back in '84.
It was crazy. I knew I was getting drafted. I'm the number 1 pick with the Dallas Diamonds. And I called Julius because we had been friends. Crazy, I met him at his basketball camp when I was 14, but we became friends. And I said, I want to be able to negotiate my own contract. And, I'm the best 2-3 student ever at Old Dominion University. I was like, no, I need what to stay eligible? So he sent me his old ABA contract. And he just whited out a few things, but he walked me through the process. He goes, don't make it emotional. Just make sure that if you want something, you got to prove to them you're worth that. So I dug up how many people attended the games the year before me, how much the tickets were. I tried to find out what the walk-up was like, the media coverage, and I put a little proposal together. And if this is what you average, 1,500 a game, and now we're going to get 6,000 people a game, and this is the difference in money and revenue and media coverage. And I put that proposal there, and they accepted it.
So tell me this, like you said, from going from attending Julius's camp at 14 to really becoming friends with him and being able to reach out to him as a mentor on something like that, like how crazy is that to like you said, you somebody from the hood, and then this turns into your life. Like how crazy is that to have Dr. J, somebody you could call on, and he reaches out to help you like that?
14 years old, my neighbors around the corner from me, Eric and Mark Muchnick, they said, we're going up to Dr. J's camp. Let's go. And I'm MVP of the little camp. And at the end, Dr. J's handing out his awards. And he pats me on the head and he goes, you're really good. And if you keep working hard, you could be really, really good one day. And I went, okay. I make the Pan Am team the next year. And I come back to his camp and I have the gold medal. And he goes, where did you get that? Did you take that? And I go, no, I didn't steal it. And he goes, you were on the Pan Am team? I said, yeah. Well, we became friends after that.
Right.
He couldn't, we even talk about it today. And I'm telling you, God doesn't make mistakes in my life. I'm the right person for the right job at the right time because I'm supposed to be with you guys. I've been wanting to do your show. Right? We've talked about it for 3-4 years. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I have to be patient, but I'm here and I'm with you. And I just so admire both of you so much. That's why I didn't want to be on your show for me. I wanted to be on your show because I was so happy for you.
Nah, it was
Thank you.
absolutely gonna
Appreciate
happen.
that.
We appreciate it, Coach.
What was your reaction? You played all these years since the 70s, and then you hear that they're finna create the WNBA.
What was that like?
What was it like, to go to the Phoenix Mercury and have that experience? Leagues are kind of dying out with the women, but they decided to create a league for the women.
So 1997, I was a 39-year-old rookie.
Yeah.
Let me
Crazy.
back you up. I am 24, 25 years old. It had to be around 84, 85. I get a phone call from David Stern. He says, Nancy, I would like for you to come to New York and I'd like to meet with you. And I was like, why does he want to meet with me? Mm-hmm. I go to the NBA headquarters. David closes the door. I said, why'd you close the door? He goes, because if they hear what I'm going to talk about, they'll fire me. I sat down with him for 2 hours and he goes, Nancy, before I'm done being the commissioner of the NBA, there's going to be a W. And I went, what? He goes, there will be a WNBA.
You said this is in 84, 85?
84. This is how much this guy believed in women or the business of women in sports. And he says, my only worry is that you won't be around to play in it. So when you're 24, 25 years old, you're like, what are you talking about? Of course I'm going to be around to play in it. You can't see the end of the diving board.
Yeah.
And I said, no, seriously, I'll be there. Don't worry. Okay, let's fast forward to 1997. I'm drafted in the elite draft by the Phoenix Mercury. The day we play, I get a phone call at my apartment, and it's David Stern. We're playing on NBC, and he said, Nancy, I didn't know if it would. It's 17 years later.
That's crazy.
And he goes, I didn't know if you'd ever see this day. He goes, I am so proud of you. That whole year was so surreal that I could have Leiberman Klein on my jersey, number 10. TJ was 3 years old. He had my jersey on. He had the headband. The day before, I had hurt my finger and I had tape on my finger. TJ shows up at the game with tape on his finger. And he's like yelling at Michelle Timms, Timsy, give the ball to my mommy. And we're running down the court. I go, give the ball to the kid's mother. And she gives me the ball. So many amazing things happened to play at 39. The Mercury fans were amazing. We were averaging like 13, 14,000. I mean, they were the X factor for sure. And how I was treated in Phoenix, I'll never forget how the whole city, the fans, my teammates treated me. We make it to the playoffs. And then I retired to coach Detroit.
Be a GM. How was that to be a GM and a
coach and GM? It was crazy. I get Rick Sund hires me. I come to Detroit. They show me my office. There are piles of resumes, marketing, sales, community relations, trainers, support staff. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I can coach. I think I can coach. I had never coached before. But I was kind of overwhelmed with some of this stuff.
How was it, like you see now, we have a bunch of amazing women that's being basketball analysts, that's being on TV every day talking about basketball. You was one of the first ones to become a woman basketball analyst. How is it to see how in 2024, how then it changed around where you see all these women being able to talk about basketball, not just women basketball, but men's basketball too?
Well, look at what Doris Burke has done. You know, look at what, like you're saying, so many women having this opportunity to call the game, sideline, you know, do these incredible interviews. So I actually go back to Jackie Robinson, and I say this like with that and with coaching. If Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier and he was the only one, we have failed. If Becky was the only one who got a job in the NBA, we have failed. But then after Jackie, there was Larry Doby, there was Elston Howard, there were all these, I'm probably taking you back to names you don't even, because
a lot of guys from Negro League started coming in.
Yeah, and it was really important. So coaching, I think that was the first thing. You know, you're coaching and now they trust you and they let you, I mean, it was forever that I was allowed to do men's basketball. In the mid-'90s, they were like, well, you know, we're going to have to ask the coaches, the college coaches, if it's okay. And I'm like, you think the ball knows I'm a girl? You think the mic knows I'm a girl? Stop. But it was men who said, don't ever say that to me again. Don't ever ask me again if she's okay to do the TV. Yeah. And then when you have opportunity, all of a sudden it's a game changer. Yeah. And you think you can own a team. You think you can do a podcast. You think you can be multimillionaires. All we need is an opportunity. Yeah. If you don't give us an opportunity, then you don't know what we bring to the table. And I tell people like this, if you hire me to be a head coach in the NBA and I'm terrible, then fire me. But all you're doing is recycling, you know, guys, you know, Becky can coach in the league. I can coach in the league. There are other women that can, I believe, could coach in the league.
Definitely do.
But somebody's going to have to be strong enough to put Doris Burke on the finals and say, that's our person. Yeah. Or to say, hey, you know what? Nancy's a lifer. She's been at every level. We should give her an opportunity or to, you know, for Becky or for other women.
I feel like in anything else, it's just things aren't normal until they are. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, once that first person take the dive, like you said, like with Pop and the San Antonio giving Becky such a platform and, you know, such priority as a coach and putting substance into her. So, I mean, I feel like since then, it's been a lot of females that's getting jobs. Like, whenever it comes to the point where a female gets a head coaching job, to me, it's not about whether she's crazy successful. It's about her approach and how she handles and her how she translates to her players. And then you'll see more of that. And it's like everybody that had a male coach that wasn't great, that failed, that didn't have a good record or whatever. So coaching is coaching. It's not about male or female. It's about knowledge and ability to do it. Either they have it or they don't. Like, if it's a female or a male, if they don't have that ability, they shouldn't be given opportunity. Like you say, I'm living proof. Me, Corey, and all of we've seen, like, I played for Stan Van Gundy, Eric Spoe, Alvin Gentry, Larry Brown, who's a Hall of Famer. The list goes, like, whatever, Isaiah Thomas. And I put you right up there with any of them as far as the preparation and how you approached it and the professionalism and the importance it meant to you and how important winning above everything else was. So to me, it's not like, I see what it meant, and I won a championship because of it. She wasn't bullshit.
No, I remember you used to come back and used to be like, man, we are well, like, prepared for every single game. Nancy coming in with all this stuff.
Like, I'm on the plane sitting there and I'm getting the game plan or getting text about something for the next week, and I'm like, Coach ain't bullshitting. She really on this, like, boy, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I feel like made us respect it the way we did, because like you said, it was like, this is normal to you. Like, you didn't come into it tiptoeing around nothing. You was talking to everybody, you know what I'm saying? Like you say, respect us, but then still dealing with it like any other coach supposed to come in and deal with it. And that's what immediately garnered all of our attention, our respect, because of the way you went about it. And it wasn't anything different from, name any of us. We all played for some of the best coaches in the NBA from our time that we played, and everybody respected it the same. Whenever we spoke of Coach Nancy, it was with nothing but the utmost of respect because of the way we did things. And then everybody else listening to us talk, they learned and saw that they weren't getting what we were getting.
Coaches prepare you for success. Players have to play. You allowed me to coach you hard. I'm passionate. You knew I would raise my voice. I'm direct. I had an expectation, but we had the right guys at the right time on the right team in the Big Three with power, and you allowed me to share professionalism. I treated you guys like it was the NBA.
Yeah.
And you deserve that. I can't speak to what any other team did or any other coach did. It did not matter to me. But I had 5 guys who had been in the NBA, who had stellar careers, and you deserve that from me. Now, what you do on the court, players decide probability and outcome. Coaches prepare you for the moment. I can draw up a play in the huddle. Mm-hmm. I can draw a play on dead ball, sideline, baseline. But you guys were so professional and so high IQ, and you made me look good. So at the end of the day, you made me look good. And one of my proudest moments is getting to know you as a father, getting to know you as a husband, getting to know you as a human being. I got to know the wives. I got to know the grandmas, the aunties, and that meant a lot to me. And you guys were just amazing on the court, but amazing off the court. And I'm so grateful for your professionalism. It made me better as a coach.
No, we grateful. Like we talk about it. Like I said, that's the only time I won a championship, and albeit it's not the NBA, not the big, it was the Big Three, whatever people want to think of that. Like that was some of the most fun we had. Like that year, that summer, that was some of the most fun we had playing ball. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we had, like you say, the best thing was the group of guys led by you coaching, and like we had a really good group, man. Like Birdman, Baby, Corey, Cat, and then even the guys that filled in here and there, Juju, you know what I'm saying, and Xavier, remember X-Man? Like we had great guys. X-Man stayed on with us coaching even when he wasn't even able to fill in no more. Like we just had a genuine good group of guys, man, and that was a cool time.
I remember when Baby missed the first game or so. He had to take care of some personal things. We were starting Birdman. And when Baby came back, Birdman was starting, and he came to me and he said, "Look, I've never started in my career. I think that Big Baby needs to start." Who says that?
Yeah.
Right? Remember he was like, came to our press conference. He was like player of the game. He goes, "What do I do? I've never been player of the game before."
Yeah, Birdman was like I wish I played in the NBA with him after experiencing him. He was one of the coolest dudes. I mean, and the whole time, every time I ever been around him in the NBA, I knew he was super cool, but like really getting to be his teammate. And like I could remember after winning the championship, us taking the trophy to the club with us in New York and just Birdman rolling through sleeveless, rocking the tats with the mohawk, with the sunglasses, and lifting the trophy up in the middle of the club, just like, I was like, yo, Birdman is one of the coolest teammates I've ever had. Like, literally, I don't care. In any type of situation, Birdman was the coolest. Hilarious dude.
But, Power has been, in 7 years, we've been in the championship game 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
There's a culture there. We're working hard. It's so competitive, that league. It's gotten younger legs, a little bit, the Euro guys are now in the league.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's continuing to get better, and the business model is going to change a little bit. But really, shout out to Ice Cube. I just admire him so much, and I feel very grateful that I've been there for 6 years.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Big Three.
How did the opportunity to be assistant coach for the Sacramento Kings come about?
Warren Legary had been talking to me for a while. I started doing Sirius XM radio, the NBA channel, and I was doing TV for the OKC Thunder. So I'm always in the mix. And so Warren represented George Karl. And I was at the All-Star game in Brooklyn, like 2014 or 15. And people started blowing up my phone saying George Karl just was at a press conference and said he thinks women can coach in the league and that he would hire Nancy Lieberman. I'm in the arena. And I'm like, I don't know anything about this. I did not hear this.
That's crazy.
It was crazy. So then Vlade calls me and he says, could you come to Summer League and volunteer? I said, yes. So I show up at Summer League and I wasn't like exactly sure like where I fit in. Should I just shut up? Should I just let the coaches do what they do? And after Summer League, Vlade called me and he goes, it was so normal and so smooth, right? The word normal. And you know, how you worked with the guys and the respect that they had for you. We'd like to hire you as an assistant coach. And I was blown away. You know, I was in the gym at Plano West where TJ went to high school. My second call was to the Alis, to Muhammad and Lonnie, because he had been telling me for a long time I was going to coach in the NBA. And I'm like, how do you know this? He had been telling me this for years, you know, speak it into the universe. So I was really honored to coach for the opportunity. We had a great team. We had Rondo, we had DeMarcus, we had Willie Cauley-Stein, we had Seth Curry, we had Darren Collison, Bellinelli, Omri Caspi, Rudy Gay. It's a pretty damn good team, right? Some youth and some experience. I was disappointed we didn't get to the playoffs that year, and there was a lot of internal stuff going on. But I was happy to be part of the Kings.
How does it feel to have an award named after you? After all the hard work you did, all the basketball you played,
That was big time
for them
shit,
to award other players, but with an award with your name on it, how does it feel to have an award named after you?
It's crazy because there's so many great players that could be deserving of that same award. So for there to be Nancy Lieberman Point Guard of the Year award, it's crazy. It's over the top honor. I don't think anybody plays to have statues in front of their arenas or Old Dominion named a street after me a couple years ago. Nancy Lieberman passed,
have a street
and a
named after you is pretty
statue
big.
sitting in front of the arena, and then to have an award. You know, you got to balance. I think as you get older, you just become. You have so much gratitude and humility. Where in your 20s, you're like, it's supposed to happen to me. I look at that stuff and I say, you know what? That makes some other young people aspire to have this. So maybe that motivates them to be a little bit more focused or have a goal of what they want because they see these awards in the names of people. And the cool thing, think about it. The women who have won this award, Sue Bird won it 3 times. Taurasi's won it. Renee Montgomery's won it. Odyssey Sims has won it. Goats of the game throughout the history. And I go to WNBA games and there's like 2 or 3 gals playing who won the point guard. And I told Caitlin, I go, dude, stop. You're trying to take my name off of it and put your name on it because you won it 3 times. I'm not going to let that happen. Okay.
Right.
So it's amazing.
You got to tell me, like, I know you as humble as they come, but like some of this stuff, like you got to sit back and be like, I got a stupid, dumb life. Like this is crazy.
I sit in my home, and I've seen yours. You know, you showed me pictures, and sometimes I get emotional, and I'm like looking at this massive thing, and I'm like, how did this happen? I feel grateful for the things that have happened to me. What I'm really proud of is that I'm here to give the award, that I'm here, my charity, Nancy Lieberman Charities. People paid to send me to the Olympic tryouts in '74 because I didn't have money to go to the tryout. Strangers, they put money in a can. We've given over $11 million cold, hard cash to the Black, Brown, Latino communities. We've sent over 100 kids, high school seniors, to college. We follow them, we track them, We bridge them to jobs in the area of their interest. Like your Rolodex is big, right? We know a lot of people. That's what we do. We try to help other people. That's the greatest thing you could do.
Speaking of that, she has an initiative with her foundation where she does all of these community courts, bro. She go to wherever, whatever hood, whatever neighborhood, whatever going on, bro. She came to my hometown hood when we were playing in the Big Three in Chicago, Cooper Park, Wild Wild, you know what I'm talking about? Wild Honey, Chi-Town, all that, real area, you know what I'm saying? Real growth and development going on there, Black, you feel me? Nancy, whole team, we come out, and it was snow on the ground, bro.
It was cold.
February, this was All-Star. This wasn't even no Big Three, this was All-Star. You gotta understand, this the court by my grandmother's house, right? 1 block away from John Whistler, where I grew up, born and raised every day. Courts have been terrible. Courts been terrible. You know what I'm saying? Like, we put the new everything, the sport court material down, no more concrete. We got glass backboards, adjustable rims for programming and all of that, you know what I'm saying? Like, fixed up the whole situation, bro. Ain't been like that, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how long, you know what I'm saying? Put a whole new court in there, Dream Foundation name and everything on the court. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's something for me that, you know what I'm saying, you leave an imprint in your community, your neighborhood you grew up in, something I ain't never got a chance to do. Like, so, you know what I'm saying? Talk about how you took that on initiative. She done that for, like, Steph Curry, like, all type of people. I'm small bananas to some of the giant things, but, like, just following it and seeing, like, I've seen that I don't know the exact number, but I know y'all have done a huge number of courts and a lot of, you know what I'm saying, underprivileged, undercared for communities and neighborhoods that could absolutely use it. Then they could come in and, the park could throw camps and do different things because the situation allows it now. So just talk about that situation. And like you said, this the hood, bro. We in the hood with it.
It makes me happy, but that's part of the Ali thing from 20 years old. I get it. I understand it. I love going into the hood. I love just seeing happiness and helping. So they're called dream courts because it was my dream to be on a court, because you no longer could make fun of me and profile me as a girl playing with guys. And we have 129 opened.
That's
we have over
amazing.
5.5 million children a year on these courts. And it's grown from just like a basketball court. And I started to think in time, you know what? Like, I was a terrible student in high school and college. I got my confidence and my education on a court. So I know inertia, I know angles, I know arc, I know teamwork, I know responsibility, I know accountability. I know if I have more points than you, I win, you lose. I learned everything on the court. So we realized that these were pop-up classrooms. So we call them now communiversities, because people want to commune with each other. You don't want segregation. You don't want to not be around me because I'm white.
Yeah.
We're family. We want to be around each other. So I think people are built to commune with one another. So we have programming on all the courts now, and we'll bring it to your court too. We have financial literacy. We have STEM. We have kids and cops. Not every cop's a bad person. Not every person's a bad human being. We have to get better together. We have civic engagement, where kids shadow their police chiefs, their councilmen or women, their mayors. They get to see what people do in their communities. And then we have career readiness, so we can prepare you for that next level. And we've done this. We just finished doing our second court for Julius in New York, in Nassau County. You don't have to be famous to have a court, because we have courts just because. But we put them in communities that kids need to get out of the house, get out there, breathe. And now with so much going on with mental
iPads and tablets all damn day.
It's this. But mental health. So I got this letter. It was handwritten. I don't actually know how I received it about 4 years ago. It said, "Dear basketball lady, I don't know who you are or what you do, but I'm sitting on your dream court. I have had severe depression, and I have thought of killing myself.
Damn.
And I have come to your court, and I sit here, and it gives me a chance to breathe and reflect and regroup. Thank you, basketball lady, for putting this court in my neighborhood. And they never signed it. I don't know if it's a girl or a guy. I cried. I cried. And I'm like, oh my God, this is what we're supposed to be doing. I'm going to invite you guys to come to Dream Ball. We're honoring Jason Kidd in September.
I
You were
came
there?
to one. Yeah, you know, I've been to one. I've been out there in Dallas.
You should come and see. You remember we have 600-700 people. The
A
love,
lot of
the
people that
kindness,
being rewarded and stuff for what they've done in the community. Yeah, it was dope.
and we're raising the money to give it. We're not raising the money to keep it.
Hey, and don't misconstrue it. You know, they say everything, they do it big in Dallas, and don't think that, you know, Nancy ain't no small fry. It be everybody. It Deion Sanders, all type of people be involved in this stuff. It ain't no little boy business now. I'm talking about big business.
So people don't believe this. One of my closest babies is NLE Choppa. We're inseparable. People are like,
What? That's
people are
random.
like, what? I said, stop. Yes, me and Choppa, we're like this. You know his song Champions?
Yeah.
Great song. I'm in his video. I'm in my first rap video, and people are like, you're not in his rap video. I'm like, dude, take out your phone. There's Floyd Mayweather, there's Odell, there's LeBron, there's Tyson, there's Jewel Lloyd, and there's a white girl.
That's hilarious.
So we honored him last year, and my board was like, you know, Nancy, we don't want to go against you. And I said, good, then don't. We're going to honor NLE Choppa. Well, you know, I don't know. You know who stole the show?
NLE.
Choppa. Everybody in Dallas fell in love with him. That's like the secret sauce. That's like my little magical powers, is bringing people together.
Yeah, shout out to NLE. I got an opportunity to meet him too. Got an opportunity to meet his mom. Like, they such beautiful people, good spirit, good energy. I definitely believe everything you're saying, because when I got a chance to meet them, they were so humble, not big egos. You probably wouldn't even know he was a rapper, how he carried himself professional and did what he did. But shout out to them.
Thank you for saying that.
Speaking of you saying you spreading your magic, you know, you are Lady Magic. Can we get the origin story of how you became Lady Magic? Was that a Rucker Park nickname that was bestowed, or how did that become about?
Rucker Park, I was fire because of the flaming red hair and apparently my attitude and fiery personality. And when I went to Old Dominion, my freshman year, Michigan State and Magic Johnson played in our men's, Optimist Classic,
Right.
the Holiday Classic, and Irvin is like throwing dimes every which way. And like the next day in the Virginian Pilot newspaper, it was like, if he's Magic, Nancy must be Lady Magic. And that's how it started.
Nice.
And Irvin and I became friends in time. And even now, like, we're working on my, documentary, and they're like, there's one thing, it's Lady Magic. In Kevin Durant's point guards, I mean, first of all, is the greatest point guards in New York City history. And when they were like, we'd like to include you, I was like,
How was that?
how many more times can people be so kind to me?
Right.
To be the greatest point guards in New York City? Crazy. And they said, where do you want to film your part? Half court of Rucker Park. That's where it started for me. And going back to the park and people yelling out of the projects, fire, fire. I'm like, I know they're old.
Right.
They're not saying Lady Magic. They're calling me fire. And people coming down to the court just for a hug.
How did that make you feel after so long, like you said, going back and sitting at half court of Rucker Park, and then actually having, like you say, albeit older folks, like they still just knowing what it was, and what was that like, the nostalgia of that?
It's love is love is love. And, the greatest religion in the world is love and kindness. And the people up at Rucker have treated me like I was one of their own since I was 13, 14 years old. And it's it's just powerful to know that through all these years, we might not have seen each other in 15, 20 years. The minute you see somebody, like you and I could not see each other, and the minute, whew, we're inseparable. If that doesn't make you feel good, you have no freaking pulse.
Yeah.
You know, we're family.
We had the opportunity to go to see D. Wade get inducted to the Hall of Fame last year in Springfield. But while we was there, we had the opportunity to see them induct the 1976 team into the Hall of Fame. When they inducted that team, and you know it's been a long time coming, how was that feeling for you? How was the appreciation for that, the Hall of Fame to do that for you?
Even though you was already in the Hall of Fame, you know, by yourself, you know. Yeah.
I was personally happy for the 76 team. I was sad that it took so long because I've lost 7 members.
Yeah.
My head coach, my assistant coach, my trainer, the Gene Rowland, who was our manager, Pat Summitt, Lucy Harris, my roommate Charlotte Lewis. We've lost so many of those players, and they, more deserving of me, should have had the right to be on that stage.
Yeah.
And that was my initial thought. And then there were 4 or 5 of us that were there. Those women never thought they would get their flowers.
Yeah.
You know, Pat Summitt, Ann Meyers, myself, we're lucky. People have just been so nice to us our entire careers. Until Lucy died and Shaq and Steph did her, you know, Queen of the Court documentary, nobody knew how great Lucy Harris was.
Yeah.
I mean, she had to die for someone to give her minute. She deserved more than a minute. She's one of the greatest ever. And so I was thinking that, you know, the athletes that were there that have these rings and these jackets, whatever happens going forward, they at least know they didn't make money, they didn't have fame, but they were the first women's Olympic team ever.
They started something.
And they started something, and we medaled. You know, we got the silver. We stood on that platform. There is nothing like bending over and having that medal put around your neck and representing America.
Like, we talk about Pat Summitt, and a lot of people don't know Pat was a hooper. Can you kind of just tell us about Pat, Ann Meyers, and Lucy Harris, of how good of a basketball player the women was?
Well, Pat, she was from Henrietta, Tennessee. She was country strong, right? She used to like wrestle horses and whatever. I guess I'm the only player that has played with her, for her on the U.S. team, and against her in college, Old Dominion, Tennessee, because I was so young. Pat was one of those, she was kind of like a Harrison Barnes. She was just strong, smart, reliable, a great passer, a rebounding machine at 5'10", because she was that country strong. She just she never quit, and just kept coming and coming at you. And was captain of the Olympic team, tore her ACL one year. And I don't even know how she came back to play in the Olympics, because they didn't have the sophistication in medicine technology at that point. She was just tough. I had to guard her every day in practice, and it was like a war. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're 30 feet away, she's going to box you out. You knew there was a choice. If you're near her, you're going to get hit, or you're going to go around her, and you're not going to run the play. So I learned a lot from her, and she was obviously so smart, but she was just, you know, tough as nails. Lucy Harris was built like Adonis. She was, you know, 6'3", 6'4". She was strong, immovable object. If you gave Lucy the ball down in the post, it didn't matter. And I'm not joking on this. We're playing an exhibition on our way to Japan. We put the ball inside. There's a picture of 3 little Japanese players hanging on Lucy's arm, and their feet not touching the ground. She was like lifting them up, powerful. She could do anything, and she would talk like this. She was very, very soft-spoken. She scored the first basket in the Olympic women's history at 9:02 in the morning. She was just a great teammate. She was my vet, right? You all have a vet. Most people go, you have a what? You know who your vet was, who took you under their wing? Lucy was my vet. She quietly would walk into my room and just sit on the bed and, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I don't have anybody to talk to. Like, everybody's so much older than me. And she would just listen. And Meyers. I asked at the first tryout in 1974, I said, like, who's the best player here? And they went, her. I said, what's her name? They said, Ann Meyers. Then at the Pan Ams in 75, every practice at tryouts, if Ann was in this line, I was right behind her. If she ran this way, I ran that way. If somebody had to guard her, I guarded her. I figured she was so good that they would want to know who the kid was who was guarding Annie Meyers. It's like wanting to guard Jordan.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to get by you anyway. He gets by everybody. But I believe in my heart that I made the Olympic team because I guarded Ann Meyers in every practice, every scrimmage. And that's how I got noticed. And she was amazing. She was smart. She was quick. She could shoot. She could run the point. She could play the two. She played like a boy.
Tell me this, like obviously it's a lot of work still to be done and a long way still to go, but like the WNBA in particular, like we talked about it before we started, just, with the more support that's come with the college game as far as the women's college game, and now translating over to the WNBA, y'all getting private, planes and stuff like it should have been, but the contracts are trying to creep up and things like that. Girls are starting to be able to get different jobs here where they don't have to go and do what Brittany was doing, going over to Russia and different things. At least some of the top players, we'd like to see more, but like it's still becoming more opportunities. So how proud are you to see how far things have come, even though knowing that it's still a long way to go?
It's fantastic. I hope to have, when I was younger, that I could have played in the NBA or WNBA. Today's athlete expects to have a WNBA.
Yeah.
There's a 10-year-old who, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to go to W, then I'm going to play on the Olympic team. We didn't have an Olympic team. How'd I know I could be there?
Yeah.
So we're making tremendous, tremendous progress. I'm happy that, the players in this league are so united in what their belief system is. They've been great as far as causes, and they're, sticking up for what they believe. Which I'm really proud of the players in this league. But, I'm going to go back to Jordan and Tiger. It takes somebody to change your financial futures. And if he's filling up the arena and he's on TV and everybody is buying his sneaker, now it's a movement. And even it's a singular person, it will eventually filter down to all the other, Magic and Bird, and it's not just one person, right? It's not just a Jackie Robinson. Everybody's benefiting, and it's just a great time to be a woman in sports. And I'm so proud. Like, there's not been a day that I look at, Asia Wilson or, Skylar or the Tamika Catchings or some of the great players in this game. And I'm not jealous of them. Now, I am a little envious that they got to play in their prime. I would have loved to have played in my prime and competed against them, kind of mano a mano. But I'm so proud of, they're beautiful, they're smart, they're marketable, they're uber talented, the best players in the world. Who's better than Asia Wilson? She deserves her book. She deserves her endorsement. She deserves her sneaker contract. And it's only going to get better because of the work that they're doing. Like I said, I was an unpaid Olympian, unpaid trailblazer, whatever you call me, legend. They are paid legends. And I'm happy for them because there's a little 4-year-old who's going to be making, in 20 years, $8 million a year just in salary in the WNBA.
Special shout out to Skylar Diggins. She made a comment on my daughter's first bucket post. Mackenzie saw that, she hyped, you know what I'm saying? So Mackenzie might be one of them little kids in a few years making some money. Shout out Skylar for,
Skylar's the best.
She said, go Matt.
You played in a lot of leagues, and you played with men and women. So if you had to put 4 other women players to make an Ultimate 5 and 4 other men players that you played with to make an Ultimate 5, what would be them 4 other players?
So my all-time starting 5 in women's basketball, these are players that I've played with. I would have Lucy Harris. I would have Lynette Woodard and Meyers. And I would have, now I've got to think, I'm going back to the W now. I would have Peggy Gillum. She was unbelievable, Peggy Gillum. She was runner-up for MVP first year in the league. And really, NBA guys that I've played with, I would have Michael Jordan. I would have Joe Dumars, Dennis Rodman.
The worm.
I'd have Rolando Blackman.
It's a bucket right there.
I'd have Steph Curry.
This is what I like to ask, Coach. You know, I done been privileged to a few things. You know, I know you and Deion tight. I know you didn't get him like a goal post for his yard or something. But like, I want to know, like, you know, Lady Magic. You know, you done made a couple dollars over your time in your life, and you good now. What have you done with a big purchase, like probably when you was a little bit younger or whenever, but where you look back at like, yeah, that was pretty crazy, but something that you did, you know, that you felt made you feel good with a big purchase?
I love cars, and I like fast cars. Love it. I don't really need a lot of jewelry or anything.
I seen your GT coupe, the convert now. I done seen that one. That's lately.
The red one or the white one?
The white one you had.
Okay, so I'm trading it in about 3 years ago.
Yes.
So I go into this dealership, and I'm thinking, you know, I'm going to give somebody the privilege of having driven another one for 2,000-3,000 miles, and I'll just trade mine in. There's this red car on the showroom floor, and the lady goes, you need to take a look at this. It's the 100-year anniversary, I'll show you the picture after, of Bentley. And they only made 100 Bentleys in this red. They sent 75 to the dealers in Europe, and they gave 1 to each of the biggest dealerships, volume dealerships in the United States. And I'm like, no, that's a car, that's a house. I'm like, I'm not doing that. There's no way I'm going to do that. So that car's in my house.
Yeah, she got it.
It is amazing. They even have like a piece of gold that came off the Bentley from 1919, and it's in the car on the dash. And they have people look at the car and they go, oh my gosh. And they have it 1 through 100. So on the front of mine, it has number 1. I think that probably in the house that I live in is a little much.
All right, man, this has been awesome, man. We finally got it done, man. Lady Magic, one of the best hoopers ever. So many different awards you've won. You was the Olympian, a gold medalist, Hall of Famer, all that. My coach, my favorite coach. So, you know, we just appreciate you showing up and showing out for us. Coach Nancy Lieberman in the building with the Knuckleheads.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to do this, I told you, for a long time. It was worth the wait. And now I can say I'm part of the Knucklehead family.
Yes,
Love
already.
it.